with Mike Elko moving on to Texas A&M, Duke must find a new head coach. And I think that they'll find that the pool of candidates to choose from is bigger than they realize. When you look at what they've come from, even under the David Cutcliffe era to Mike Elko, you have a lot of improvement. And Duke is a more attractive job than it was maybe a handful of years ago. So we'll look at 10 candidates today that could take over for Elko. James Madison head coach Curt Cignetti is a great option for Duke. I think that he's done an incredible job at James Madison. He's turned them into an FCS powerhouse, and now at the FBS level, they're experiencing a ton of success. Now, obviously, the NCAA is botching that that experience and what we could see from the Dukes. But Cignetti is definitely someone who will get a lot of phone calls for head coaching jobs. He has proven that he can build a program, build a great culture, a winning culture, and Duke wants exactly that. And when you look at what Duke does, I think that there are some similarities between Duke and the Dukes. And I think that that would be a really fun pairing if you found a way to get him on campus. Willie Fritz has experience rebuilding programs, but Duke wouldn't need nearly as much rebuilding. In fact, I don't know if you need to really rebuild much. You'd find a way to, I think one of the things that Willie Fritz has done is win in tough situations. Winning at Tulane is not easy with the academic requirements and the fact that they were in a conference with teams that could recruit better players than they could. I think Willie Fritz has done an incredible job at Tulane. Now, if Duke wants to get him on campus, similar thing where you might run into some issues, but you can still get a lot of better talent than you could at Tulane, not just because they're at a Power Five level. I think that you can get better talent at Duke. And I think that it would be fun to see what Willie Fritz can actually do. Really, not even in a rebuilding situation. You have to build a little bit. You're still at a disadvantage in the ACC, but I think that you're giving him more talent, and I really want to see what he can do with that. Another guy who would come from a tougher situation is Jeff Hafley. The winning at Boston College is not easy. Simply put, it's just a tough place to win. And now you're going to Duke, which it's not the easiest place to win in the ACC, but it's you've seen that you can win. You can be competitive in the ACC at Duke. You can definitely be more competitive more consistently at Duke than you can at Boston College. And Jeff Hafley has done a good job of getting Boston College to about as high a level as they can get. And I think it's time for him to find another job. I'm worried that if he stays there too long, he's just going to get fired because eventually it's going to go south. And when it goes south at Boston College, sometimes it's really bad. But you've seen what he can do when he's able to turn things around. And if he can do the same at Duke, it'd be really fun to see what the Blue Devils can achieve. Now, this one depends on what Elko is going to do in terms of bringing coordinators. So if he's already bringing Kevin Johns, then obviously just ignore this. But Kevin Johns has done a good job with the Duke offense, and I think that they could hire from within. Maybe they promote him to the head coaching position and keep some continuity, keep certain guys from the transfer portal because John sticks around. You know what you're getting in that offense. The offense at least would be secure, and you just have to find a defensive coordinator that wants to keep a lot of those guys as well. Johns has done a good job, like I said, being able to develop Riley Leonard into a fun quarterback. Obviously, this year wasn't the same Riley Leonard that we've seen in the past. I think that he does a great job, and now it's his chance to get an opportunity to be a head coach. If you want to stick with more of the defensive theme, John Summerall is a great option for really anybody, but especially Duke. Mike Elko is a great defensive mind, and if you pass the torch to John Summerall, a guy who's 22-4 at Troy and a great defensive mind, if you look at the last 2 years, Troy has had some of the more exciting defenses in college football. If you want to expand your fandom, really go look at what Troy has done over the last couple of years. I think that if he can do the same thing at Duke, you're looking at a defense that's going to be really fun. Blue fans will be really excited, and he'd be a good option for them. Another defensive mind, Phil Parker. You look at what's going on in Iowa, he definitely deserves better. And if you're talking about a guy who can get the most out of underrated talent, it's Phil Parker. Iowa's had some of the best defenses in college football, and they haven't had 4 and 5 star kids left and right to be able to utilize. They have done a great job of recruiting. Phil Parker knows what he needs, and he has found some gems too. Now you put him as the head coach at Duke. He's in charge of finding guys both on offense and defense. And I think that his mind defensively keeps Duke at a level that you would expect, maybe even elevates it because that's how good he is. But it comes down to his ability to find certain players that not a lot of teams want and turning them into NFL talent. that is something that will make him a very attractive candidate. Flipping to the offensive side of things, Alex Atkins at Florida State will get an opportunity to be a head coach. It's just a matter of where. Maybe he sticks in the ACC and comes to Duke. I really like what he's been able to do with Mike Norvell, and I think it'd be fun to see what he can do on his own. I don't know if Manny Diaz is willing to go to Duke. Maybe he's looking for a Power Five job at a higher level. But I think that I really want to see what Manny Diaz can do when the expectations aren't scorching high. Like it's just scorching hot expectations and expectations that are through the roof. I want to see what he can do when you can just find, again, underrated talent and then develop it. As a head coach, I really want to see that because if Manny Diaz can't do it, because we saw what happened in Miami, it was not good. If Manny Diaz, I want to say he could almost be better at finding lesser coveted talent and turning it into something. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's something I really want to see. I want to see what he can do at a program where expectations aren't super high. You don't expect to win at the conference right away. I want to see if he can do that. I want to see if he can be a head coach at that level and turn an underdog into something. I just really want to see that happen. Maybe that's not going to be in the cards for him, but I'd really like to see it. An underrated name is Ricky Ronnie, the Old Dominion head coach, has put together one of the more impressive seasons in 2023, getting his team to a bowl game. I think that what he has done, even with a depleted roster this year, they lost a lot of talent to the transfer portal. They lost their two top guys in Blake Watson and Ali Jennings. I think that what he's done this year shows that he is a good head coach. I think it's just a matter of time before he gets a promotion, and maybe that's Duke. It's around the same area. I think that he's done a great job. He did a good job as an offense coordinator at Penn State, and now you bring in an offensive mind who has proven that he can be a good head coach. And now you're just giving him a step above where he's at. Jerome Moore is going to be on a lot of these lists, and I think that he is a good fit for Duke. It's kind of he brings that us versus the world mentality. He brings an underdog mentality to a Michigan team that is one of the best in the country. And I think that he wins a locker room. He knows how to get his players to buy in. And that's exactly what Duke needs right now, especially during a transition. You just lost your head coach. You need to get a guy in that's going to get everybody invested and ready to go. And a guy like Jerome Moore can definitely do that for Duke.